Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video we're going to talk about what makes going pro harder now than it was back in the early days of Fortnite. Because as much as pros want to emphasize how easy going pro is, which is pretty easy, but when you look at the game now and how it's going at the current moment in time of today, it's not as simple as it used to be. With consistent and fast changes to the game, and items being overpowered and items being too underpowered, and it's just really hard to wrap your head and get used to it. And what makes the meta different than what it was from days of Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, and how everything was pretty straightforward, and now it's just a little too hectic to understand when everything's happening at one time, and it just overwhelms new players, and it's more so confusing now. When back in the days of chapters 1 and 2, the meta was easier to explain to the average noob. Pump, AR, SMG, carry that, you know what I'm saying? Easier to understand and explain to the average noob. Try to explain today's meta to a decent player and watch how fast their heads will be on an axis, because it's just that complicated. Not to mention how over and underpowered Fortnite can be sometimes when it comes to the balance of the game. And speaking of that balance, can you remember the very last time we actually had a season or chapter that was fun, not boring, balanced, and easy to grind? If so, let me know in the comments below. But comparing chapters 1 and 2 to chapters 3 and so forth, we see how much more the community complains. And the complaints are more than chapters 1 and 2, besides the Infinity Blade and the mechs that happens at the end of every chapter, which is fairly rage fuel and pure just rage bait. Besides those, we really didn't have a lot to complain about, other than the occasional bugs that cooked tournaments. But other than that, no one was complaining about this weapon being too overpowered or this weapon being too underpowered. In the beginning of chapter 3, when SMGs and the ARs were so busted and there was nothing to combat it, and you would think Epic will make shotguns equally as busted as the SMGs and ARs, but the damage of the shotgun was that of getting hit with a tortilla wrap. So while SMG kids got in your box, shotgun damage was that of getting hit by a baby. Shotguns were so underpowered, it raged the community on how much they have to carry SMGs and ARs just to combat the meta. And not gonna lie, and it got annoying for me too. It got annoying for a lot of pros, especially, everyone was questioning what they were gonna do when FNCS rolled around, and the whole time the Christmas theme was happening, we had to deal with the whole meta until everyone got back from winter vacation, and it was all just a mess with no way to combat it. It was just, how you say, a spray fest, and there was no way you could combat it. Them kids just continuously sprayed as you just wasted all of your mats for them to get in your box, spray you to death. Although I like the variety of what Epic Games is doing with their game, I feel like, in my opinion, they can at least try to make the game a little bit more beginner friendly and make the meta easier to understand. With that in mind, I think everyone would have a fair shot at going pro if they can try to keep the balance that they once had. And not only will the community find nothing major to complain about, everyone will have an equal opportunity to going pro. Listen, going pro is already as difficult as it is. You already gotta sit and grind. You already gotta look up tutorials about the meta and all that stuff, and not gonna lie, it's discouraging at times. Okay, it's really discouraging at most points in time, but we also don't need the extra headache of trying to figure out, is this weapon overpowered or is it underpowered, even though there are videos that gives you the rundown of the damage of new guns, changes to old or existing weapons, vaulted items, and so on and so forth. But that's the thing, everything changes so rapidly, we can't even get a chance to wrap our heads around it. So if Epic can kind of slow down on the rapid fire updates and focus a little bit more on balancing the game, more of the Fortnite community as a whole, yes, I'm including zero builds, will be in a much better state, or at the very least on a smoother trail on everything becoming a little bit more understandable. Because there are new players out here wanting to go pro and getting discouraged because they get so confused, because so much is happening, so much is changing so fast, and it's hard to wrap your head around it. And it's like, well, you wrap your head around it or you don't. You get it or you don't. If you don't get it, you're lost in the sauce. It's so bad, I don't even think most pros understand this meta anymore. We went from simple shoot and build to shoot, build, rocket all the way up, come back down, and well, if you don't use this weapon, you're cooked. If you use that weapon, you're cooked. And it's like, many people are saying, if you play this game, you're cooked. It's so hard to understand the meta. Each season and each chapter, I'm starting to realize, are getting way more complicated than they were back in chapters 1 and 2. Like even chapter 3. But the meta today, like the metas nowadays, is just way too complicated for anyone to understand. I'm not even gonna say a decent player. It sends a pro's head spinning. Someone who's been playing this game since it released, since Battle Royale released, they've been playing this game for years, and it'll send their heads on an axis. Upgradable cars, people don't even have to leave their cars in order to fight. All they gotta do is stay in the cars and just spray you half to death or shoot grenades at you from this far away, and you don't even know how to counter it. You're just wasting your mats. You're just building, wasting your mats, and it's like, dang, there's really nothing I can do to counter this. If someone in Epic, maybe shift your focus away from trying to rapid fire updates. Try focusing on making the game more playable, so that way, making it more balanced, so that way no one has nothing to complain about. People have been complaining about the game being too balanced in the past, but now people are complaining about how unbalanced the game is or how unfair everything is. If you guys can like try to make it to the point where it's like shift back to the balance between balanced and not boring and fun at the same time, then I think people are gonna have an easier time with the meta and have a lot more fun playing Fortnite like how it was before. I think it would be the game itself will be in a much better state. But overall, that's gonna be it for today's video. Please note that all of this is just my opinion and it's just my outlook of the game as of now. These things are always up for change in the future. Let me know in the comments down below if you think this is fair, why or why not. But if you did enjoy today's video, or if you found this video as of some sort of use, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel right there, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Happy grinding.